What does this word say? Depends what you've been reading, right? If you go on the BBC website at the moment, there's a special section called the recession section, just in case you forgot that things are bad. You know, we've got to make sure you preemptively warn you in case you were feeling good about something. So if you'd been on that section of the website, you might have said opportunities nowhere. And you went, yeah, you know, I saw that word and that's where my brain went. Maybe you've been at ATOMICON and you've been feeling like opportunity is now here, right? You saw that, yeah. Maybe you've been daydreaming a little bit and you thought, opportunity I snow here. I don't understand people who see it that way, but some people see it that way. I think opportunity is now here. I think it's an incredible time to be an entrepreneur. This is the greatest moment in history. The technology's there, the global markets are there, the global teams are available. We have got so much incredible opportunity at the moment. The other thing too is, to be honest, it doesn't matter what the rest of the world's doing. It doesn't matter what the country's doing or the economy's doing. We can make our own economies as entrepreneurs. We build our own businesses and we make our own wins that we sail by. That's a terrible way of saying things. We make our own wins. But what happens with all businesses is that all businesses exist as a balance between demand and supply tension. So essentially, your business, regardless of what the economy is doing, has a relationship between demand and supply tension. Let's say, for example, you're a coach and you can take on 30 clients per year. That's it. You can take on 30. If you've got 300 people who have applied to be one of your clients, do you care about recessions? Do you care about like what the economy is doing? If 300 people are waiting on a waiting list to work with you, you're not going to worry about it. On the flip side, if the economy was booming and everything was just going so well, but you could take on 50 clients, but only 5 people wanted to be your client, you also don't care if the economy is booming or not because your business isn't booming. So ultimately, our little businesses are too small to be attached to these economies. The good news is that essentially we live in a time where you can make your own economy. You can just create content, you can create a message, you can go out there and talk to the billions of people online, you can build your own teams, all of that sort of stuff. You are completely in control. I want to give you 5 principles for really taking control and getting yourself into this place called being oversubscribed. Oversubscribed means that you've got people on a waiting list waiting to work with you, they're lining up to do business with you, they want to work with you, and you've got plenty of people who want to work with you. Okay, so lesson number 1, or principle number 1, is that only oversubscribed businesses make a profit. So this is an important one. This one really took me by surprise when I sort of saw it for what it was the first time. I realized that actually the only businesses that I knew that were highly profitable were businesses that had these waiting lists, the businesses that they had too many customers who wanted to work with them. Imagine for a moment that there were these things called profit gods, and profit gods essentially hand out profit fairly. We would expect to see that the profit gods would give money to airlines. They would say, hey, airlines, you work pretty hard if you're running an airline. You've got to have 100% safety, and you've got all this capital at risk, and you've got to make sure the planes take off on time and land on time, and everything has to go absolutely perfectly. The reward for doing all of that well should be massive amounts of profit. You would think so if the profit gods were fair, but they're not fair because airlines make about 3 to 7% profit margin at the absolute best of times, right? And the reason for that is because airlines are focused on the supply side of what they do. They're not focused on the demand side very much. They're always thinking about how they supply safe flights, right? And do all of that. So they're constantly thinking about supply. But the supply side doesn't really matter if you don't have corresponding high demand. Now, here's one of the harshest lessons that I've learnt when it comes to small businesses. Almost all small businesses get into business because they love the supply of what it is that they do. They get into business because they want to do the work. So you become a business coach because you want to coach people on their business. You become a life coach, you want to help people with life coaching. You become a website designer because you love designing websites that perform. So you're always thinking about the supply side of what you do. And what we must do as business owners is we have to start thinking about the demand side. So going back to our profit gods, right? So the airlines, they're not getting very much profit. There's a business that makes loads of profit, but it probably shouldn't make lots of profit because this business doesn't really innovate. Its product looks exactly the same for the last 50 years, doesn't do great customer service. It can be easily copied. that like people copy it for a fraction of the price, and it's a business called Rolex. So Rolex watches, these things really, they kind of look the same as they did in the 1960s. You can, like that one there's probably 10,000 pounds, and you can copy it for 250 pounds and buy a convincing copy. But here's the interesting thing about Rolex. Rolex are not so much worried about the supply side, they're very good at the demand side. They know how to sell the waiting list. They know how to get you to register your interest for a Rolex, but you can't have one today, right? And then they make you wait for 3 months or 6 months or 9 months, and then they say, oh, we've got one. If you come on down right now, we'll let you buy it, right? So they're very, very good at creating demand and supply tension, and they're wildly profitable, like 70, 80% margins. So remember this, business is not fair. Business is a relationship between demand and supply, and essentially your business needs to have excess demand on top of whatever you can supply. That's one of the biggest rules when it comes to business. So think about it, there's 100 people who want to buy 10 things, profit gets tolerated. There's 10 people who want to buy 100 things, losses get tolerated. There's roughly the same amount of buyers and sellers, wages get tolerated. So we end up just having a business that kind of pays everyone but just makes it through. It doesn't make a lot of profit. What is it that is capacity? What is capacity? Capacity, a lot to do with what Jeff was saying before, is your ability to leave people feeling delighted. That's your capacity. The question is how many people can you make feel delighted that they did business with you? So if you had a restaurant, you might have 50 tables and chairs. If you squeeze people in and it's busting at the seams, no one leaves feeling delighted. So you could, like theoretically, you could have this restaurant where everyone's happy when 50 people are in the restaurant, but if you squeeze 60 or 70 people into the restaurant, 0 people are delighted. You could destroy your capacity by doing the wrong thing, by that business. So we need to actually consider at what level can we delight people? What is the number of people per year that we can delight people? That's the capacity. And then what we have to do is we have to protect the capacity. We have to say, I don't take on extra customers unless I can leave people feeling delighted, right? So sometimes I have to make people wait. Sometimes we have a little 1 month, 2 month, 3 month waiting list because we're protecting our ability to leave people feeling delighted. Wouldn't that be a different scenario if your business was protecting people's experience with your business? Imagine you had a customer who really wants to work with you and you know that that's going to stress you out. You know that that's not going to have a smooth, amazing experience for that customer. Imagine if you said, look, we are totally committed to leaving all of our customers feeling delighted. At the moment, we've got too many customers, right? We're full. It's going to be about 6 weeks before we can work with you, and then we can onboard you. How do you think they'd react? They'd want you so much more. They'd want you so bad. They'd be like, oh, you're the Rolex. Right, so the question I've got for you, how many people can you leave feeling delighted? And then we need to get more than that number interested in working with you. So think about it like this, official capacity, 50 tables, 5 settings per day, 250 bookings, right? So this is the concept called official capacity. I want all of your businesses to have a number that is your official capacity, right? Now, of course, it's going to be slightly higher and slightly lower and all of those sorts of things, but at least have a number that is the official number, that is your official capacity for the year. We know that restaurants that have got people outside, they're the good restaurants. They're the ones you want to go to, right? So customers get it. They love it, right? A lot of you are scared to say your official capacity. You're also scared to make people wait. The truth is, customers love it. They know that means that you're obviously doing something right. Let's say you've got a consulting business. You might say, I can take on 8 mid-sized clients, 12 small businesses. That's your official capacity. So I want you to come up with the official capacity for your business, which is based on your ability to leave people feeling delighted. So rule number 1, only oversubscribed businesses make profit. It starts by having an official capacity so that you know how many customers before you become oversubscribed. Okay, principle number 2, the only people that matter are your people. So what do I mean by that? So when we run businesses, we tend to think of the market as this big group of people that are out there. We think of people as lots and lots of people. Maybe if you're running a business, you might calculate the total addressable market or the market size. But when we're customers, we don't think about markets. We don't care about why somebody else bought the thing. We don't care about how many other people like us exist. We think about our own personal needs. We have our own internal dialogue with ourselves. So customers are not part of markets. Customers are just customers. They make decisions based on their own mindset. So we need to get inside the mindset of an individual, and we need to start understanding how the brain works. So the guardian for the brain, the bouncer, the security guard for your brain is something called the limbic system. That is designed to keep people away. So you've all experienced this when you've been walking down a really busy street. In London, let's say this is Oxford Street, you're walking down the street. If I was to stop you after you've walked the whole length of the street and say, name 5 or 6 people you remember seeing when you walked down that street, your brain will go, I have no idea. I just turned them all into blobs and I walked past the blobs and I don't remember anything other than walking past complete strangers. So your brain, your functioning limbic system is filtering people out. Now the reason it's important to acknowledge this is because that's what's happening to your business when you're operating in the marketplace. Your business is being filtered out by people's brains. Basically, you think that you're special, you think that you're an amazing, unique individual business, but people who are out there experiencing lots of different messages coming at them, they're just filtering it all away. So here's the question. The question is, if we were walking down that street, who would we notice? What kind of people would we actually notice on the street? There's 5 types of people that we would notice. The first one is anyone who's scary, right? So if we see something scary, we notice scary. There's a business model that is built on being scary. What's it called? The news. Right? The news, right? They're constantly looking all over the world thinking, what's the worst thing that's happened today? How do we get that and get a photo of it? So that's their whole business model. Find the scariest things because that's what gets attention. If it bleeds, it leads, they used to say. Now, many of you do not want to position your business as scary, so let's move on. The next one is strange. So you see the giant hot dog man walking down the street and you go, that's a bit strange. I haven't seen that before. So you might notice that. Many of you also don't want to position your business as being strange. The third one is sexy. So if you see someone who's looking very sexy walking down the street, you go, oh, okay, notice someone who's sexy. Many of you couldn't position yourself as sexy, even if you wanted to. I'm speaking about myself here, okay, all right. Okay. So let's go with the 2 that we can actually work with. The 2 that we can work with. If you were walking down the street and it was really busy and someone's handing out really nice magazines, let's say they're handing out Vogue magazines or Vanity Fair magazines, right? They're giving away something that looks like it's a nice thing, nicely presented, and they're handing away free gifts. You would take notice of that. Someone who's giving something valuable away for free. So the one thing that absolutely creates cut-through is giving something of value for free. Free stuff gets through. If your business is sharing great ideas, if you're sharing your recipes, if you're sharing your methods, if you're sharing your case studies, if you're sharing how to approach certain situations, people pay close attention to that. A lot of people think, oh, I'm not sure about giving away my recipes. If I give away all my recipes, no one will want to, actually buy what I do. It's the opposite. It's totally the opposite. Who are the highest paid celebrity chefs? They're all the ones who give away their recipes. They literally become celebrity chefs by giving away all the recipes. So the more you can give away for free, the more you will get cut through in a very busy, noisy marketplace. And the second one, so free, and the final one is familiar, friendly. So if you were to walk down the busy street and walking along, and I have no idea how the brain does this, but it's just awesome. Walking along, and then out of the corner of my eye, oh, there's Martin. I know Martin. He's on the other side of the street. I would literally, my brain would go, bam, 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 there's somebody that you know. And then I'd kind of cross the street to say, hey, how you going? I didn't know you were in London today, right? So we would connect. So my brain somehow alerts me. So we want to understand, how does this friend thing work? How does this familiar thing work? And there's some really interesting research on how this works. So we have this system called the know, like, and trust system. And if we know, like, and trust people, then the limbic system says, hey, come right through, right? So it's the security guard keeping most things out. But if we know, like, and trust you, come on in, right? Come through. So how does this work? Well, actually, Professor Robin Dunbar did some research into how people form friendships and bonds and associations and acquaintances, and kind of discovered what he calls Dunbar's numbers. So you've got a small group of people who are your very close friends, then you've got friends and acquaintances, and then people you could put a name and a face to. And those are the concentric circles that your brain is able to understand. And he did the research, and he basically found that for most of you, you've got 15 very close friends, and then you go up to about 1,500 people you can put a name and a face to. That's how our brains are basically wired. How do we make it into those circles? What he discovered is that by spending 7 hours with someone, you rapidly ascend into the middle of those circles. So if I've spent 7 hours with you, whoop, you are now in my brain as an acquaintance, right? Or you're at least in there around friendship acquaintance. Sometimes who has been on like a retreat for like a weekend or something like that? And there's like someone you get buddied up with in the first day of the group, and like you end up having to sit next to them, and you spend like the couple of days with them, and by the end of the 2 days, it's like, I will never forget you, right? That's how it works, right? You spend some time together. Google did some research. Google's research said it's about 11 interactions. So what they actually did is they took people's purchasing decisions, and then they went back through the history, because Google can do that. They went back through the history, and they went, okay, she buys the Louis Vuitton handbag there, but how many times did she look at the Louis Vuitton handbag in the lead up to that purchase? Oh, it was 11. So they discovered that on average it was actually 10.7 interactions. We have 10.7 micro little interactions that lead up to a sale. So they said 11 interactions. So we call this the 7-11 rule. 7 hours, 11 interactions. If you can clock up 7 hours or 11 interactions with people, you are on fire for making it into those central circles. You're going to end up somewhere there if you get the 7-11 in. Here's how it looks like for your business. This is the buying zone. In the lead up to the buying zone, there's the warming up zone. And the warming up zone should be digital, because it's very hard to warm people up if you have to do that having cups of coffee or meeting people physically in the physical environment. So one of the questions I always ask businesses is this question of like, can I warm up to your business online? Can I actually like go online and find stuff where I get to warm up to you? Can I find 7 hours worth of videos? Can I interact with you 11 different times and 11 different things? If I can, then your business is ready to scale. So here's how it works. There's the marketplace, and then there's a group of people who watch a video on YouTube, and they watch a few of those, and then they might read a book. I've given every one of you a copy of this book, by the way, because I'm 7-11 foring you. 7-11, getting you on the 7-11s. They might take the scorecard, right, take the quiz, and then at the end they go, oh, yep, there's 7-11, right, we're on the different thing there. So the tribe size that you need is about 20 times your capacity. So how many people do you need to warm up? You need to warm up 20 times your official capacity. So if you've got 100 clients that you want to be doing business with, if that's your official capacity, you've got to get 2,000 people to watch the videos, read the stuff, interact with the things, do the scorecards, all of that sort of stuff. So the big size is 20x. Once you've got 20 times your official capacity, you start experiencing what's called demand and supply tension. Demand and supply tension is there's plenty of people who want to do business with you, but there's only a limited amount of people who can. And as soon as that starts to happen, if you've warmed up 20 times the number of your official capacity, you feel a different way about your business. You discover this thing called with or without you energy. With or without you energy is where you feel an inner confidence. My business will be fine whether you buy or not. I've got plenty of other people who want to buy, right? So it's that with or without you energy. This thing's going to happen with or without you. Principle number 3, first make your market and then make your sales. So what we want to do is we want to avoid running around selling stuff to people one at a time, which is like no one likes that when we like, oh, check out my amazing thing that I've got this great thing, right? That's sell, 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 sell. We never ever want to sell to someone who hasn't first signaled interest. So we only sell to people who have deliberately signaled interest first. So first we make our market, then we make our sales. So the first campaigns you should always do are called signal generation campaigns. You're asking people for nothing more than a signal of interest. First we collect signals, then we do sales. Most famously in the UK we have Glastonbury Music Festival. They are the masters of signals first, then sales. So for 364 days of the year, all you can do is register that you would like a ticket at some point in the future. That's all you can do. You just register a registration of interest. It says to obtain tickets for Glastonbury Festival, you must register. That's all. Right? Failure to follow the registration instructions correctly will lead to rejection. Just brutal. Takes you right back to high school, doesn't it? And then what they do is they write to you and they say, what we're going to do is we're going to launch the tickets tomorrow at 5 a.m. There's 700,000 people who have registered, and there's only 130,000 tickets available. And what happens? 36 minutes, boom, it's done, it's full, right? And that's the only time you can get a ticket. It's pretty wild to consider that Glastonbury is only available for less than an hour per year. That's the only time that they're making sales. The rest of it is just signal collection. Elon Musk did something similar. He said, in the future, I'm going to sell this Cybertruck. You can register, but you can't buy it. We don't even have a factory yet. Right? 1 million people put down a deposit. They then went to the bank and said, 1 million people want to buy this thing. We need some money to build the factory. And they said, well, gee, let's do it, right? So bang, away we go. So you can do this as well. We did this when we said we're going to start doing the AI for our software. Rather than just launching the AI, we asked people, would you like to join the waiting list to be one of the first to experience the AI? And we got lots and lots of people signing on for the wait list. And we created a waiting list campaign to build the tension, to build the excitement, rather than just immediately launching it. We could have just launched it, but we actually did a whole campaign around it. Here's the most simple way you can do a signals first campaign. You can say, have you given up on XYZ, right, as a subject name? Have you given up on scaling your business? Have you given up on hiring talented people? We're launching a new thing in July. It's perfect for people who want to improve X, Y, and Z. Are you still interested in that? Would you like me to send you the details when ready? Now you get a whole bunch of people emailing back saying, yeah, please send me the details. That's all that a signal is, right? Just someone just signaling I'm interested prior to having to buy anything. Because it puts you in a position to say, we had 400 people request the thing, and we only can do this for 40 people. Right? It puts you in the Glastonbury zone. Have you given up on profit margins? Chris, we're launching a new business profit program in July. This is perfect for business owners who want to maintain healthy margins. Are you interested in that? Would you like me to send you the details when ready? That's as simple as it is. That's a signals first, then sales. Strong signals, registering on a waiting list. Anyone who joins a waiting list, that's a strong signal. Booking for an event or a workshop, joining a discussion group, or taking a scorecard. Those are all really good, strong signals if you want to do a signal generation campaign. This campaign was massively successful for us for many, many years. And it was basically people would read the Key Person of Influence book, and then they would take the Key Person of Influence scorecard, fill it in, answer a series of yes or no questions, get a report at the end, and then our team would get all the data. We'd have conversations. In this case, we'd say, Christopher, looks like you need to publish something, looks like you need to do some more partnerships. Congratulations on having a strong profile and pitching really well. But are you interested in fixing those two things? And of course, the answer is, yeah, I really want to make sure that I improve those two weaknesses. Right, we go through, have a conversation, and what ended up happening is 90,000 people took the scorecard, and we ended up doing about 20 million worth of sales off the back of it. So it was a really super successful campaign. Oh, thank you. Honestly, the money was enough. You don't even need to clap. It was a reward on its own. I deconstruct how we did that in that book there, Scorecard Marketing. You've all got a copy of that. And you can use the templates that we use. Okay, principle 4, people buy to resolve tension. This is really important to get back to the fundamentals of why people buy from you. People don't buy airline tickets and they don't buy airline seats. What do they buy? They buy destinations. They buy the place they want to get to. Remember that no one wants a coach. They want the results they think a coach can give them. No one wants a website. They want the results they think a website can give them. No one wants a bookkeeper or an accountant. They want the results that they think that bookkeeper or accountant could give them. So people buy destinations. And the reason people buy anything is that there's some tension. So the way we buy a seat on an airplane is we're at home and we're thinking, gee, it would be nice to go somewhere nice, right? My current reality is less than perfect. And then they think, desired reality, right? Wouldn't it be great to go to the Maldives? And then they think about all the things they would have to do in order to go there, right? So that's how our brains work. Where am I now? Where do I want to be? What are all the obstacles that I would have to face in order to get there? That is the DNA of every single sale. Every single sale is where am I now? Where do I want to be? What's in my way? You need to become a master of understanding the answers to those questions for your clients. So if we get into the mind of your client, we have something called the situational model. The situational model is my current reality, my desired reality, and my obstacles and criteria for getting there. Those three things drive every single sale. And that is what creates tension. When people become clear about their current reality and how it's different to their desired reality, and the fact that there are obstacles in the way, they experience tension. Right? So the bow gets drawn. Your business offers a path of least resistance. Every single product and service is a path of least resistance that relieves that tension. It's a way of getting from current reality to desired reality without banging into any of those obstacles. That's every single product and service in the world. So the more you can understand how to explain what you do as a way of getting from a current reality to a desired reality without these obstacles, the more you'll make sales. How can you collect more data so that you know what's driving your customers, right? Because every single customer doesn't buy necessarily when they understand the product. They buy when they feel understood and when they feel that the product is a good fit for them. Right? So we need to collect the data so we understand what are those points so that we can fit that product or service on. Principle 5, people buy when the conditions are right. So when the conditions are right, people just stampede towards the sale. We've seen this with many, many different products. We saw this with Cybertruck, 1 million people in the following week filling in an application. We've seen this with certain Apple launches when they launch different Apple products. You may have been in rooms like this where a speaker says they've got something limited and it's available and people rush to try and buy it, right? So there becomes this kind of excitement or stampede. So it's important to understand what are the conditions that need to be right in order for people to behave that way, and how do they behave that way for you? The 3 things that need to line up for the conditions to be right is called logic, emotion, and urgency. So we need logic, emotion, and urgency. So logic can always be expressed on a spreadsheet. You need to be able to express on a spreadsheet why it makes sense for people to do business with you. You want to kind of have almost a calculator where you can say, well, this is how much time you're wasting on this, and here's how much it's taking you to do this, and these are all the things that you could unlock. These are opportunities, and if we add all of that up, it spits out a number here. And look, if you spend 1,000 with me, you get 10,000 worth of rewards. It logically makes sense to work with my business, right? So that's the logic. It's always on a spreadsheet. The emotion is always expressed through stories. We have stories about how people made things happen. We have stories about how people overcame their obstacles. We have stories about how people went from a current reality to a desired reality without hitting those obstacles, right? So there's all of these stories that create emotion. And urgency is essentially making sure that people know that it would be better to work with you now than to wait until later. So you've got to have some reasons as to why people might want to do that. You might want to create some fun deadlines. You want to create some start dates. Right? So we have a start date coming up next month. Would you like to be part of that start date, or you might have to wait until 3 months until our next start date? So you can create some reasons in your business for people to feel a sense of urgency to do business with you. Logic, emotion, and urgency. Every single sale that you've ever lost, it's because one of those 3 ingredients wasn't present. So if you went back through the last few months and you said, why didn't this person buy, or this person buy, or this person buy? They logically didn't get it, they emotionally didn't connect, or they didn't feel any sense of urgency as to why they should work with you now. And that's it. Right? People are pretty simple like that. Now, it's simple, but it's also tricky. We've got to learn how to juggle those 3 balls. So if you can get those 5 principles right, you will create demand and supply tension. And if you create demand and supply tension, it will not matter what the economy does. It won't matter who gets in, it won't matter whether the economy's up or down a few percentage points. None of that's going to matter. What your experience will be is being in demand. You will experience that there are lots of people who want to work with you and there's only a limited amount of people who can. You'll experience that you're living in the greatest time to be an entrepreneur. You'll say, wow, I've got people from all over the world signaling their interest. They all want to work with me. By the way, just on a quick side note, who here does sell to people all over the world? Amazing, right? Congratulations. Give those people a hand, right? You're making the most of the times that we're in. I promise you, by the way, if you don't currently sell to Americans, seriously, start selling to Americans. Those people are on a different planet. So it is, honestly, it is the greatest time in history to be an entrepreneur. We have billions of people who are out there who want to solve problems. We have so many meaningful problems that need solving. Your business specializes in solving a particular meaningful problem. We have the most incredible team members who are perfect to join your team, and they're all over the world. They want to join a team that has fun, freedom, and flexibility at its core. They want to solve those meaningful problems with you. So keep that in mind. Over the next couple of months, we know what's going to happen. We're going to have all sorts of debates and negativity, and it's going to be this political shit show. Because we've got here and we've got the US elections, right? So it's going to be so much negativity. Just keep your mind on this idea. It's the greatest time in history to be an entrepreneur. Focus on developing your business so that you stand out, you scale up, and you go and make your dent in the universe. Thank you very much.